Hi guys, I'm going to record a very short bite-sized video just to show you how you can get into Excel and actually just start populating it with some data, text and numbers. Okay, so let me first of all just start sharing my screen with you. Okay, so to get into Excel, a variety of different ways, and it depends on how you're set up on your own machines. Some of us will be on MacBooks, some of us are on Chromebooks, some of us are on our laptops or PCs, so it's all going to be entirely different. I've got everything pinned to my taskbar. Okay, we can go in through the Start menu, or some of you might have the icon on your desktop, so it would just be a double click on there. So by whichever mechanism of getting into Excel. For instance, I'll start on the Start menu this time, and it's all alphabetical for me. Pick up Excel. But what we would be doing is clicking on a blank workbook, okay? And I'm just going to maximize my screen. Okay, so when we come into Excel, we just default onto sheet 1, okay? If we wanted to add extra sheets, if we were going to be working across multiple sheets, we could just click on the little the plus, which would add a new sheet. I can rename the sheet, rename sheet 1 to say something like January, for instance, if I was then going to have another 11 sheets for the rest of the months. Okay, so Excel is made up of columns and rows. The columns are labelled, okay, alphabetically, and the rows are numbered sequentially from number 1. Where a row and a column intersect, okay, that's called a cell. And you can see here that where A and 1 intersect from the name box, you can see there that that's actually called cell A1. The cell reference is very important when we start to looking at formulae and functions, okay, because it's a cell reference that we're going to use within our formulae as opposed to the actual value of the cell. Okay, so I'm just going to start typing in some information. I didn't mean to type in there, I beg your pardon. I want to click in here. I'm going to type in holidays. Text by default is left aligned, okay, and numerical data by default is right aligned, okay, but we can play about with that and change it. Okay, so okay, we'll just type in that for now. Okay, so some of you will be familiar with using Microsoft applications already, okay, and you can see specifically the font is very similar to it is as it is in Word, okay. So if I was to click into one cell, okay, just by clicking into it, that's selected. I can then change the font type, okay. I can change the size. I can put it into bold, italics, underline if I wanted. Borders we'll come back to. I can change the background color. Okay, I like yellow, but you can click down using the drop down arrow and you can see there's a variety of different colors. And if I wanted to, I can also, again, change the color of the text. Okay, if I want to highlight more than one cell, okay, make sure that you've got your chunky white cross, okay, click into the middle of the cell and click and drag across the cells that you want to select. Okay, so this time I'm going to look at the alignment, okay. I can default if I wanted to, the default is align left for text anyway, but I can center it or I could right align it if I wanted to. So let's just center it. These two here are for increasing and decreasing indents. You wouldn't normally want to do that within Excel, to be honest. And again, we've also got some other alignments. So you can align the text at the top of the cell, the middle of the cell, the bottom of the cell, and you can also change the orientation. Okay, so let's just angle it. Okay, you've also got the little option down here, okay, to alignment settings. So you can actually, if you want, you can be very specific about, you know, what the angle of degree, okay, and your orientation and everything is. Okay. Similarly, we could have gone into the font from there as well. Okay, just different ways of viewing the same functionalities. Okay, so our numbers. Okay, let's put these into currency. The easiest way to put them into currency is just to click on the icon here, which looks like a pile of money, and I click on that, and it puts the pound sign in and the 0.00 for me for the decimals. If I don't want decimals, okay, I've got my decrease decimal here, okay, which will round up or down. Okay, takes the decimals off. Put them back on again by using the increase decimal. Okay, again, I could have just used the down arrow and gives me a variety of different options. Okay, The text one's very useful if you have got, for instance, if you had product codes and you wanted, if the product code began with a 0 and it was very important that the product code with the 0 was recorded, okay, you would put the formatting of the cell to text. Okay, so that's quite an important one. Okay, and yet again, you've got the little down arrow to the right-hand side of that, and you can have a look to see what all the various options will be. One that's quite good is if you're doing a profit and loss account and you wanted, for instance, negative numbers to appear in red, okay, you can use the options here. Okay, so negative numbers would appear in red. Okay, so that's quite a good one to use. I'm just going to cancel out of here for now. Okay, a couple of other little things. If I want to add a column, if I've missed something out, okay, if I wanted something to be between column B and column C, the cost and the discount, I would select column C. So you can see I've got my arrow positioned, or my mouse pointer positioned into the C, okay, the label of the column. Okay, you get a black down arrow. When I click on my left mouse button, the easiest way to insert, okay, for me, I use my right mouse button all the time within Excel. So when I use my right mouse button, I get an option to insert, and it pops one in, okay, to the left of the column that I had selected. I'm going to undo that. Okay, so again, I come up into C, right click and insert. Okay, I can undo, or I could have just come up here, okay, to the insert option and just say insert a column. Okay, so variety of ways of doing things. Okay, if I wanted 2 columns, I would have just highlighted 2 columns and right click and insert. Okay, and as I say, they always go into the left of the columns that you have selected. If I wanted to add in a row, okay, in between Prague and Florence, I would do exactly the same technique. I would come into the number of the row, okay, so the grey section. When I select that, that selects the whole row. And again, you could do insert, okay, insert a row, or right click and insert, and it'll pop it in for you. Okay, again, it always goes in above the row that you have actually selected. Okay, if the column wasn't wide enough to hold the data, okay, so you will get something like that on your screen, hash hash. Okay, hash hash doesn't mean that you've made a mistake. Hash hash just means that your column isn't wide enough to display the data that you've got within it. Okay, so 2 different ways of widening the column. You can come up and you can click and drag, okay, to widen the column, or you can do what we call a best fit. You can just double click. And by double clicking, Excel looks down the whole column, not just what you're viewing on the screen, okay, and it will widen the column accordingly. Okay, 2 other little things just to have a look at, okay, just from the formatting options, and then we will finish this little bite-size recording. Don't want to go in there, sorry, let's just pop something in here. Okay, if I've typed the heading which is too big for the cell, okay, it spills over into the next column. Okay, what I can do is I can use the option here to wrap the text. Okay, so when I click in the cell with the text, then click on wrap the text, okay, it puts the text on 2 lines. Okay, it still lives within the same cell, but it appears as if it's on 2 lines. Okay, so that's really handy to use when you think about if you've got lots of columns with big headings. Okay, because remember you want to try and print where possible on 1 sheet of A4 paper. Okay, the other nice little feature that we have, if I wanted the holidays, the heading, to be centered across the entire table, again, click and drag, okay, across the 4 columns, and I can use the option here to merge and center. Use the down arrow, I'm going to say merge and center, and it pops holidays across the entire table. Okay, pops into the center. Okay, saving. If I wanted to save, if I want to close the document and save it down altogether, click on the cross, okay, at the top right hand side of your screen, okay, to close. It will ask me, do I want to save it? I will give it a file name, meaningful name, okay, because I want to be able to find these files in a hurry at a later stage. Okay, when my boss comes in and asks me to pull up a specific spreadsheet, I need to know what one he's talking about or she's talking about. Okay, choosing a location, you're going to save it into OneDrive, okay, but what you might want to do is click on more save options and either find the folder, the relevant folder, or if you haven't set up folders, you're going to click on new folder. You create the new folder, give it a name, double click on it to open it up, change the file name here, and then click on Save. Okay. If you're saving and working, okay, so if you're working on a big spreadsheet, okay, what you need to make sure that you're doing regularly is clicking on the Save option there. The first time you do it, Excel will ask you to give it a file name and a location, okay, just as when we were clicking on the Close button up here, okay. But subsequently, when you're working within the document, when you've actually click on this the second and third time, okay, it doesn't ask you to rename it, obviously. Okay, you can also get to that from File, okay. So we can do File Save, okay, we can do File Save As to copy a file, okay, to have an existing file and save it as something else. And again, we can also close from here as well, okay. When you're in the File menu, just use the back arrow to get home. Okay, so I'm not going to save this document, but I am going to stop sharing my screen and stop the recording, and next video we'll have a look at how we can actually do some basic calculations. Thank you.